I welcome Mr. Srinivas Bharadwaj to deliver his talk on OWASP Security Code Review for young developers seeking technology careers and backend perspectives recommended for Java and other cloud and backend engineering. So welcome, sir. So let me introduce you to our attendees. So Mr. Srinivas Bharadwaj is the lead founder and current CEO of Nyanamarka Technologies. He holds a bachelor's degree from IIT Madras, an MS in electrical engineering, and an MS in computer science from Georgia Tech, along with an MPA, CFA, and FRM. He also holds patents in and is the lead founder at Nyanamarka Technologies, which builds an EdTech platform for high schoolers and college students. He holds a deep interest in developing distance education as a panacea for youth of India and hopes to provide them with the tools they need to build a better country which serves the needs of all its citizens. So we welcome you, sir, to our Amrita Institute conference, and the floor is now yours, sir. You can present now.
Oh, thank you. That was a very generous introduction. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here at this conference. It's wonderful to be with Amrita and all the other attendees. So let me get started. Because we have a packed presentation. So let me. So to introduce Nyanamarka, Nyanamarka is a young company, and today's talk, we build an EdTech platform which also helps students, educate students in many things, and we'll give you an idea of all the things that we educate students in. It's our honor to be part of the INCTF program. Today's talk is focused on the OWASP code review program, and OWASP is a non-profit organization which helps students, not students, engineers, figure out what all they should do to handle the threats that their code base faces. Always an engineer defends the code base that he faces, and one of the things that you have to do, particularly if you're a back-end engineer, and of course also a front-end engineer, is to understand all the various vulnerabilities in your code base. And so the OWASP code review program is essentially aimed at that. So this presentation will start here. It will then provide you a little bit about our platform as well, and then we will continue with the base of the presentation, which is how security flaws in applications are detected. So the process of a secure code review will happen many times in every company. It happens in like I'm sure it happens a lot in Salesforce. I'm sure they do a lot of this. And the process of auditing source code is carefully done, and it is done repeatedly with the aim of finding vulnerabilities. They look at the code again and again and again. And so the aim is to understand the code of the application, the external components, and find all security flaws. So now there are levels of security review. One is, at one end of the spectrum, there could be someone who's not so experienced, who kind of looks at it with a text editor. Then at the other end, there are all these security experts, like we just had one just before my presentation, who use very advanced tools. And so it takes a fairly serious level of expertise. It is not that easy, and as young engineers, you should develop a understanding of the biggest threats and the biggest ways to combat them. Human reviewers are essential over and above automated tools. And there is CMM levels as well, from 1 through 5. And of course, if you are a small startup, you still have to do security. But of course, the biggest organizations like a Citibank or a State Bank of India, they will have thousands of developers who kind of look at just the security aspect. It's like for instance, you just heard from Salesforce, right? So OWASP develops a top 10 a framework, and they say, of course, there are so many failures, but here are the top 10. And today I'll go over the top 10. So you do a code review, and then you test against these vulnerabilities. And so that's how you solve them. So you typically there are four types of tools. There's a scanning tool, an automated scan. Of course, there is also the tests that they do, and of course, there's the manual code review. And here we first look at it from that manual code review point of view. So this particular program is offered as part of our Java backend course. And our Java backend course deals with Spring, it deals with NoSQL, Kafka, but also we ready the student, because we are readying students for entry into the industry. And in the industry, you must understand security very, very well. So our IT certificate, actually is going to start in February. You don't have to, it is modeled after the IIT Madras programs, and it is based on NPTEL, and we offer a 7-course a system for it, and we'll explain a little more about that. So what we do as a company, let me explain. We are a ebooks enhancement company. So what you see here, these are all what we call overlays. They overlay on top of the textbook, and on top of the textbook, you also have your modal, you have various videos which are in context. So whatever you're reading, in the context of of what you're reading, you have a video which tells you more about the material that you're reading, as well as you also have the textbook, and typically these also overlay on top of the textbook. Then of course you have slides and then assessment as well. So that's how you'll get a quick demo of it as well. So our program is modeled after the IIT Madras diploma. They have 2 diplomas. They have a CS and a data science. We have only 1 diploma, more hands-on, quick, and you finish within a year, and then you go about you enter the industry and then go about it. So we have 2 programs. One is when there are students who don't have that initial programming background, they take a semester 0. Semester 0, we teach AP Computer Science, which is Java based, or otherwise you can take the CBSE 12 CS. But if you already have that background, you've taken an AP CS, you've taken an initial course, then you can go semester 1, 2, 3, and then you can use the 4th semester for a good internship. We also have a third party for to provide mentoring. Now we have an open house this Republic Day at 10:30 a.m. Please note the URL sqo-ukya-eff. Let me say it again, sqo-ukya-eff. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to pass it on to Prajot, who is going to give you a very quick demonstration of the platform, and then we can we'll continue with the meat of our presentation, which will deal with the OWASP top 10 model. Okay, go over to you, Prajot.
Yeah, thanks, Srini. So before going ahead with the demo, I would like to present a short video.
The Jnanamarga platform couples a virtual classroom with ebooks and seamlessly integrates a learning management system with a content platform to facilitate rapid and effective learning. Using our patented award-winning platform for schools, we have now delivered on the promise of affordable IT education for colleges, college students, and professionals that can scale for both colleges and for enterprise. Our IT certificate is modeled after the IIT Madras diploma programs in programming and data science, but it's different in significant ways. Students take 7 or 8 courses that are very industry friendly, and there is only a single certificate that trains students in both tracks, namely programming as well as data science. Our 7 courses, namely statistics for programmers, data structures with Java, data science with Python, front-end programming with Android and JavaScript, web applications with database and PHP, Java backend with Spring, NoSQL, and Kafka, AIML with Python and R. Ready students, be they in Silicon Valley or Bengaluru, or studying in a college in a tier 2 city for real world technology. Most of our courses have a backend NPTEL course. Students can take the exam at NPTEL. Prajot, I think the screen is frozen. Hello? Prajot, I think the screen is frozen. With our
Yeah, I think Srini, you can continue with your presentation otherwise.
Uh, Wait, I
Yeah.
think yeah, it's sorted. Wait. I think there was some network issue.
Okay.
Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. One sec.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me continue with the video. Okay.
Okay. Okay, I can see
of
it.
an
Yeah.
equivalent course to gain credit and should work with their college in the with respect to career guidance. Students coming in could have completed high school or could be in school and planning their careers with a focus on IT. Some programming background is preferred prior to the program, but for students who don't have any, we recommend our AP Computer Science program that teaches Java. As a silver partner with Amrita for the InCTF program, we are honored to help students with our introductory AP Computer Science program and application, or our CBSE Class 12 Computer Science program. Students who already have this background are ready for our program. We do not, however, have a logic test or aptitude or English test like the IIT Madras program does, but we expect that students do understand English sufficiently and can converse and write effectively. Those who don't will make the added effort prior to joining the program. If it is not suitable for a student, they should withdraw early on and join a follow-on cohort with a view to completion. For in-CTF students, we provide two options. A try and buy option where they can take APCS or a first course among the 7 we already listed at rupees 4995, or a discounted 30% program with flexible completion option. We have received significant partnership interest for our IT certificate, and that is because these are in-demand skills. According to LinkedIn, 14 million plus jobs are open on LinkedIn itself right now, and we expect nearly 150 million new tech jobs in the next 5 years. They should know they are a division within the world's biggest software company, namely Microsoft. We hope your students and employees join us and make digital and IT part of their exciting future. It is our honor to work with the InCTF program and to be part of the exciting journey of the students. We are in the process of putting together multiple partnerships to help mentoring and importantly, industry partnerships to find internship opportunities for students and also jobs for students who complete the program successfully and qualify in an interview. Thank you.
Okay. So let me start with the demo now. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is visible.
Okay. Okay. So this is a IT certificate app, and like there are around 7 courses which the student can take. Okay, so these are all the courses that we provide. And when the student selects like any one of the course, for example, I'll go with data science with Python, he'll be getting all the main topics that will be covered within the course. Okay, and on click of this, he'll be getting an overview of all the topics as well as the subtopics. So when he selects any one topic, he'll be getting all the resources related to that topic. So resources in the sense we have the textbook resource, the slides, as well as the videos. Okay, so let me go over them one by one. So when he clicks on textbook, he'll be directly taken to that particular page number where the topic is. Okay, and similarly from here you can go to slides. So he'll be showing the slides related to that topic. Okay, so he'll be directly taken to that particular slide number where that topic is. And finally there are videos. Okay.
Let's begin with naming variables. The values are assigned to variables using the assignment operator equal to. So variable name should be short and descriptive, and that is because there is an intent for
So these videos are from the NPTEL channel, and like we have mapped them in our application. And after going through all this theory, the student can take an assessment. Okay, so we have some like a set of questions for each of the topics which the student can take. So basically, this will be a time-bound test, and the questions over here will be MCQ type. Also, like he can navigate to any question he wants, and also the questions that he has already answered will be marked over here. Okay, and finally, we'll be showing him his score. Okay, and he can also like see the solution. So we have the question part over here on top and solution below it. Okay. So like we have also integrated Moodle platform here with our system. So like all the assignment related material and all can be found over here, okay, related to that particular course. Okay, yeah, and the functionality will remain same for the other courses as well. Okay, yeah. So I would like to ask Sunny now to like give a brief demonstration about the Moodle app. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah.
Sunny, um, yeah.
Yeah, Sunny, I think you're on mute. Your screen is visible.
Yeah. Is my screen visible now?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can, and we can
Okay.
hear you too.
Yeah. So as Prajot explained you the course for data science with Python, this is the other side of it. So wherein teachers and students can communicate with each other and share their content or answer their queries over here. So what we have done here is we have mapped all the courses which are there in our application, and we have provided all the brief details about the course and all the details like how much duration it will take, what is the difficulty level, and what will be learning outcomes out of the course. Okay, and finally, as Prajot mentioned, all the assignments which teachers or the tutor will be putting up so that students can finish it on their app side. Okay, so example, what Prajot has shown you is a kind of assignment which we can open here, and we have all the questions, and they can also submit their uh, all the some this thing content over here, and we can grade them based on the completion success. Okay, and also student, once they complete particular part, they can mark it as a done, so that their progress is tracked like time to time. So example, if I completed this assignment, I can say mark as done. Okay, and when I go to the dashboard and I check all the courses, I'll be getting that my course is 27% complete. So I have track of my course completion also over here. Okay, so this is a very vast platform where we have built it upon a model system, which Project explained you. So we have very the functionalities like enrolling students and all the other things. I won't be going in detail though, but I can just show you. We can manage the courses, like we can enroll students, and only those students who have like eligible for that particular course can be enrolled, and not everyone can participate in that course. So I can just enroll users. I can see how many users are enrolled, and I can control that functionality. So I can remove or add any users from here, and I can also assign teacher position or manager, which will be having more control over the platform. Okay. Uh, yeah, and I will be keep on adding courses over here, so that in future this will be more extensively developed one. Okay. Yeah, and also one more thing which we miss right now is like live classes. Since physical classes are not happening, we have to rely on the virtual classroom. So example, if I want to like I am a teacher and I want to schedule a class, and so all the students who are enrolled to this particular course have to join. So what I can do is I can just go to the calendar, and so I can schedule one class. Suppose I want to schedule it on Wednesday, so I just go to the Wednesday, and I mention my title, so live class, and since course is already selected, I don't have to make any changes. Okay, and I can just copy the URL of our meeting, like which link they have to join. So I can just copy the Zoom link or any Meet or any other Teams meeting, and I can schedule it. So once it is saved, the app which Projot explained you, it will receive a notification that there is a live class scheduled on 26 January, and they can just directly jump and join the link. Okay, and also we can attach additional functions, like we can add images or any videos student has to refer before coming to the class. We can do that also here. Yeah, Srini, I think do you want to add anything over here?
Oh, thanks, Sunny. That is a very good presentation. So
Yeah.
we have our live classes. They will start around the 10th or so of February. And so you will have a mix of the live class, you will have the assignments, and then we will have a tutorial as well. So for every course, there will be these three parts in addition to the app itself, which Prajot demonstrated. So students will interface with all four of these as part of their studying. The main difference between this and say a Coursera course is that you interface with it from a book interface, and so on top of the book you have the videos, and therefore if you have a phone or a tablet that you can use even when you're like say traveling, etc. You're going in a bus, you're commuting to work. So many possibilities are there, or you're in sitting with friends in a college. You can take a break and then start learning. Okay. So that's as far as that goes. So now I'm going to go back to my OWASP presentation. So let me share my screen again. So remember again, we have a Google Meet on the 26th Republic Day at 10:30 a.m. meet.google.com sqo-ukya-eff. Otherwise, just email me and I'll send you a link. And I'm Srini at jnanamarga.in or engagement@jnanamarga.in, and people will get back in touch with you. Okay. So now let me continue my. So we have special pricing for in-CTF students. We have the discounted 30%, and of course we have the try and buy program as well. You can just take APCS if you feel you're set ready for that. Otherwise, if you feel that you've done enough to go into the main program, then come speak to us and we'll set you up for the course. But of course, attend our open house as well. And so we have multiple entries and exits, particularly for in-CTF students, and you can take a lot of time if you want. Typically we like students to finish it in 9 months and then head for internship, etc. Then we are working with a mentoring company as well, and they will provide some additional mentoring for you and help you find work, build a resume, etc. So let me continue with our code review discussion. So typically there are 4 organizations which operate as regulatory or compliance agencies when it comes to code. The first is sorry, PCI DSS. PCI DSS is a credit card standard, and so they do credit cards for the world, and so they have this set of security standards which is required to be followed by all members of those credit card associations like Visa and MasterCard, etc. Then there are the central banks. So India has the Reserve Bank of India, US has the Federal Reserve. They have requirements as well. Then there are, in the US, we have Sarbanes-Oxley, SOX compliance. And then, of course, we have HIPAA, which is the privacy platform. So all these groups, they come and they want to help you secure your code. But we are looking at this OWASP framework. So what are the main things you need to do when you're looking at OWASP, right? So risk is a fundamental issue in OWASP. Risk is what we are really after. You don't want to be vulnerable. The purpose and context also matters. See, payments and credit cards, let's say somebody stole your credit card, imagine the havoc they can create. The second line of defense is, let's say they stole some critical information about you. Let's say otherwise they found out your birthday, right? So there are various differences in all this, right? So then the other factor to consider is the number of lines of code and the programming language. For instance, JavaScript, it appears in a page, and if they are able to get into the JavaScript and they're able to push it somewhere, it's much more dangerous. So it's more vulnerable. Java itself as a language is less vulnerable backend, and it's a interpreted language, and it has some inbuilt security checks, though it's still breakable. Then also another factor is time. You have so much code and you have so little time. So that is always a factor because tech is pays well, and therefore time is money in tech. So now typically what do? You have today continuous development, right? You have agile framework. You have maybe a 6-week cycle, maybe or if you have used Jira, you have a 2-week cycle, and then you have these repeat frameworks, right? So there's continuous improvement frameworks, right? So now they then incorporate a code review report as part of that continuous framework. Every periodically they kind of break for a code review report, etc. And then you develop a lot of sentences, and then you go and review all the changes that have been made, and then you kind of course look at all the whole code base together at once. So you need to do both. You need to look at the changes and also the whole code base, particularly when you're in maintenance. So one of the key things that you do is you also look at using tools. And so static code analysis is one tool. So they go and look at, let's say you build a jar, right? So you go and look at every file in the jar. Let's say there's a tool that goes and does that, looks at all the the access modifiers of all the methods in all the classes. So there are advantages to using source code scanners, but there are also disadvantages. So you need a little more than just what a source scanner will do, but you do need a code scanner. There are commercial ones and there are also open source ones. There are of course the ones that that you get as part of the modern day development process, and you can find those and you can use them as well. Now there is also, this is a rough process diagram for identifying the input paths. So basically, you identify an attack surface, and then you look at all the input parameters, and there are so many of them. Then you identify the attack surface, and then you follow those parameters through all the way, and then you get an idea. Okay, now this guy can steal 2 million of my credit cards, and that's a terrible place to be. So then you have these the models that they use these data flow diagrams, which represent the external entity, the process, and then the data store, and then you have the whole pipeline that goes between the external entity and the data source, and then you have these privilege boundaries, which then say, okay, now beyond this, he can't go. So you have to have those key boundaries laid out as well. So security is designed around these privilege boundaries. So beyond this, you dare not go. Beyond this, they can't go. That's the key. So now I'm going to go into the A10 list. So the first threat is, of course, injection. How does injection happen? Okay. Now look at this query: string, select customer name from the customer table where customer ID equals, and then you get some request from a post that the user has sent. The user types something in a cell phone. It then becomes a request on it then becomes a database query. Well, you will learn it when you do the second semester, if you haven't seen what an SQL query is. So this is a very simple SQL query where customer ID equals, and then they get it from the HTTP request, right? Now, the thing is, the HTTP request can include where customer ID equals 1 or equals Tom, or 1 equals 1, right? So 1 equals 1 is always true. And so if you have A or B and B is always true, then the whole thing is always true. So now they are going to be able to get Tom's information, okay? And so that's where this whole thing comes in. So they have broken through, they have got to your database, and they're able to pull data out and then produce a return, right? So this is what you call SQL injection. And so the way for the mitigation method is typically to use parameterized queries. So you can use a prepared statement, or you can use a stored procedure. And so these are very typical, and then you kind of which will go orchestrate and look at what these question marks are. So this question mark corresponds to something. So what is that? What is there in that? And therefore, then you have the set string. 1 is first name, set string 2 is the last name, and those two are checked to make sure that they are valid entries. So validation is a very big part of like a request handling when a request comes from the internet. So that is A1. Okay. So now A2. Remember, I have only so many minutes, and I have to get through all 10 of them. So broken authentication and session management. So typically you have all these OAuth to SAML, these kind of authorization and authentication frameworks, and of course you have single sign-on. So now you have to ensure that the login page is only available over TLS, security standard, or HTTPS. You must make the form submissions all HTTPS. And then the other thing is you must make usernames and user IDs as case insensitive. You thought that case sensitive is better. No, you must make them case insensitive, because you don't want a capital Smith and a small Smith being different people. And then the other thing is when the password fails, you don't want to be telling them, okay, now you can kind of make 4 or 5 attempts and then guess what it is. You should be very opaque in terms of the message that you return, okay, to the user. So be very, very careful in terms of, sometimes you just throw an exception and let the exception go to the user. No, be careful with what you send back to the user. Now, the other part is what today you see it all the time with this OTP, right? So now you have a out of band communication which then manages the session statement. Then the third is all these bots, and to take care of all these bots, then you have these CAPTCHA and all these automated bots. They come and bombard you and try to enter your site, and then if they are able to keep running these programs, which then keep sending requests to you, then eventually they'll get in and they'll get you good. So that's how this works. It's a dog eat dog world security. You got to be paranoid. You got to catch the key thing is once they hijack a session, they can go where they want. So be very, very understanding of that. So the next one is cross-site scripting is a type of coding vulnerability, and typically it happens in web applications, most commonly with HTML and JavaScript. So typically what happens is you have a tag, and it is not necessarily a script tag. So it can happen even, like for instance, you have a mouse over, a mouse over event, and that mouse over event has with it a JavaScript that can also produce a cross-site scripting attack. And so there are three types. There's the DOM-based accesses. There's the stored one, which is persistent. Once if they get a external JavaScript to go and persist on your servers, that's a terrible place to be. Then the next one is it's a little bit similar to SQL injection, and it's called direct object reference. Okay. So now the user may be authorized to access the web application, maybe get a little bit about his information, right? Now, but let's say he alters a parameter value that then lets him access something that he's not allowed to access. Okay? And there are mitigation ways for that. The key is that you have a role. Every piece of data can be accessed only with people with a certain authorization level and with certain roles. So you have access control of data. Only authorized people can access every piece of data, and therefore there are a lot of these apps from ever since EJBs to databases. Backend database like Oracle, they have very strict controls of that, and you must use those. If you don't use those, then people will get through you. Now, a cybersecurity analyst, he was able to get past Yahoo, by using by changing the header, so he took a post request and then he made one change in the I think the FID or something like that, and then he was able to start accessing data, and so you don't want that. So that is the fourth one. The fifth one is when you have misconfigured your application. Typically, you build an application, put it in a container, and then it starts running, right? Now, let's say he is able to change the configuration file itself of the application. So if it is a Apache struts application, he changes the corresponding file, right? If it is a Java EE application, he changes the corresponding security related files, right? If it is a Spring application, he changes application.properties, they change web.xml, or they change server.xml. These are the main files that you don't want them to touch, or you don't want them being able to modify some of these configuration files to suit their own needs. Like for instance, they changed the login request. So you have a role request in your security file, he goes and manages to change that. So these declarative configuration files, you have to protect them from unauthorized access, and that's a very, very critical part of this whole process. So each of these, they have a different one. So now inside these files also you have you make requests to access these files. So you have get remote user, which goes and gets the session user on the other side, and then they look at the specific roles that is allowed. So there again, there are vulnerabilities in terms of how to then escalate and hijack a role that you are not allowed to hijack. So that is very, very critical And when you look at your code, you must make sure that a request coming in when it gets processed, for instance, this is a process request in a servlet, that they are not able to use that to hijack a different user's position. Then the next one is when sensitive data gets exposed, and this is the most dangerous thing, in the banking industry. So there are all these companies which keep credit card data, like Equifax, all these companies, Intuit, they all have a lot of people's data. So Trump has been President Trump has been looking to keep his tax record secret, right? So the same is true about me. I don't want my tax records seen. I don't want my credit cards seen. All these have to be very sensitive data associated with a particular human being, right? So that is their right. Okay, and so you don't want that.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So we have almost 5 minutes left. We are a bit slight over the time schedule, so I hope we can complete it on time.
Sure. Give me another 2 minutes, and I'll finish very quickly.
Yeah, sure.
So one of the things that one should understand is all these cryptographic schemes. They are very critical. So we have RSA, we have SHA and DES. SHA 256 and DES 256. These are the most common ones that we use now, and of course there's RSA as well. Then there is the open source ones like bouncy cancel. Okay? So now the next set of issues deal with authorization. Authorization, you don't want people to be able to an unauthorized user to be able to request an internal action that deals with which gives him ability to execute as someone else. So that is a very dangerous thing as well. Finally, the last 2 or 3 deal with one of them is cross-site request forgery, and so this is a hijack. Basically, this is like a phishing attack or a email that is sent to you. You click it, but then you're also logged into some other site. That link that you click then makes a post, and then it becomes you. Although they sent you an email, they have now become you, and then they've hijacked. They are doing things on your behalf. So that is a CSRF kind of cross-site attack where you send a phishing mail or a request, and so what to review. This issue is simple, but there must be compensating controls around the functionality there. So preventing CSRF, is a very critical thing. Please join our course, and we will go into the details of how all these are protected. Finally, using components with known vulnerabilities. This has been a big issue. Log4j recently they found as a big issue. There are all these libraries that you use. Java development today is all open source, and there are tons of Apache and OpenSSL type of libraries all over the place. There are hundreds, literally thousands of libraries that are used by Maven. You have a Maven, and then it downloads so many from jars from so many places, and everybody uses these. But these all have vulnerabilities, and you have to worry about the vulnerabilities of all the open source code that you also use. Finally, there is, of course, the redirect and the forward. Now, typically, a lot of these requests, they get redirected to to a different place, using the redirect and forward. So if you are purchasing, then call purchase.do, you forward it to purchase.do, you're canceling. This is another dangerous thing, because you can always change where these requests are supposed to go. Instead of going to where the purchase is supposed to go, they could go somewhere else, and then they could pass on your credit card. So that's why you have to be very careful. This is the OWASP site. Of course, you can read the OWASP book, but the better way is to look at it using our ebook, and you will get it when you sign up for Java backend with SQL. Of course, please do contact us, Srini@nyanmarga.in or engagement@nyanmarga.in. We have our products for schools, which is Sushruta for NEET and Ramanujan for JEE, and of course our apexams.us, which includes AP Computer Science. And so with that, I'm done. So Purnima, thank you for giving a little extra time. Sorry to go over your time.
Thank you so much, sir. But unfortunately, we were tight. We were slightly over the time scheduled. But thank you so much, sir, for providing us the insights on touching upon areas like the secure code reviews, the top 10 OWASP vulnerabilities, and other important topics, along with the course details, which I am sure would be helpful for many of our attendees. And it was indeed a great presentation and the demo of the platform. So I hereby thank you, sir, for joining us here today along with your team. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. We are honored to present and be part of in CTS. Thank you.